Ready? All right, go ahead and call the January 27th Johnson County Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. I'll go through roll call quickly. Chris Campbell. Here. Charlie Canary.
Here.
Doug Gray. Here. Mike Hoffman.
Here.
And Jim Kaler. Jim.
Here.
Okay. Being the first meeting of the year, I'll go ahead and call for nominations for chairman for 2026.
I nominate Chris Campbell.
And nominated, we have second?
Second.
I'm gonna give the second to Jim. So nominated by Mike, second by Jim. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, the next office on our election is vice chairman. Do I have a nomination?
I nominate Jim Kaler.
Jim Kaler's been nominated. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Hoffman is seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The third is the secretary. Now, is this the formal secretary or the recording secretary?
The formal. The reform. Did you say formal?
Yeah.
Do we don't typically have a secretary, do we?
Yeah, her.
Oh, because
She's
recording secretary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to do it again?
Yes, you're right. Formal secretary as far as the board member secretary is first.
I'm confused.
We don't appoint you as secretary.
I thought we did.
Yeah, we
I
did.
don't think we.
I'm speaking co-chair, sorry.
No, I'm secretary now. I thought we had.
Do we have
For
secretary?
vice chair.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have a secretary.
yeah, let's sign the minutes.
And then we've always had a recording secretary.
Outside of.
Yeah. keep
Okay.
recording.
Had a nomination for secretary. Who was secretary last year?
Aye.
Mr. Canary was. So we need a nomination for secretary for the 2026 year.
I'll nominate Charlie Canary.
Mr. Canary has been nominated. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Gray seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Now, it says here other appointments. Is that where we,
Recording, yeah.
okay, need a nomination for recording secretary?
Chairman, I would move to appoint Angela Olson.
Has been, Angela Olson has been nominated as recording secretary. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hoffman is seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All the board members were provided a copy of the meeting minutes from December 16th, 2025. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If there are no additions or corrections to the minutes, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from December 16, 2025 meeting.
Mr. Hoffman has moved to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Kaler has seconded. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes pass. Okay, now we move on to our public hearings. We have one new petition tonight, V-1-26. Darren Pointer, Vicky Pointer. And with that, I'll turn it over to staff for presentation.
Give me 1 second. What was, am I on Zoom still, or did I accidentally close that out? Sorry. For me to have, for you guys to see my PowerPoint, I have to be in Zoom. And I thought I had this going, but I must have accidentally closed it out. So just,
It says that you're still,
it says I'm still there?
can we close and open it again?
No,
Okay,
just trying to find it.
says you were a host. Co-host.
What's this? Issue. It is on. It is. Yeah. Well, that's the goal. Yeah.
It's not, I didn't show it. An act at all. Hold on a second, I'm looking.
Yes, start video.
Go ahead. There you. I don't want, okay, share screen, there we go. There we go. Although it's a little bit behind, I don't know why. Gotta love technology. I don't know why it's now. All right, I'm just gonna proceed with my staff report, as you guys all had a copy. Everything on there, on the PowerPoint is what is on my staff report. V-1 26 4912 Olive Branch Road, Greenwood, Indiana, 46146. The petitioners Darren Pointer and Vicky Pointer, represented by David Gilman. They are requesting a variance of development standards from the Johnson County Unified Development Ordinance to legally allow a 2,400 square foot accessory structure, where all accessory structures will total 3,150 square feet in building area. The property is 1.94 acres in size. It is zoned SR, single family residential. It is approved with a single residential home and two additional structures. The property is surrounded by similar sized parcels used residentially on the north side of Olive Branch Road and slightly larger lots used residentially on the south side of Olive Branch Road. This request seeks approval to classify an existing 2,400 square foot building as an accessory structure. I apologize, the staff report says dwelling. It's just accessory structure, not used for a dwelling. Despite exceeding the allowable square footage for accessory structures on a single tract of land. Under the Unified Development Ordinance, the total area allowed for accessory structure is limited to the size of the primary dwelling. In this particular situation, the primary dwelling is 1,360 square feet. There was already existing 700 square foot detached garage, and this addition is 2,400 square feet, which will bring the total to 3,150. The history of this structure and how it exists today is back in June of 2023. The property owners did apply for a building permit for a primary dwelling addition following consultation with the county staff. Due to the scale of the proposed project, the owner submitted plans demonstrating an attached addition rather than a detached building. The design included a fully enclosed breezeway intended to connect the 2,400 square foot structure to the main house. However, the connection was never built. As building permits are good for 2 years, and since this was issued in June of 2023, staff did notify the applicant this year that without the construction of the breezeway, the property is in a potential for zoning violation. As the building was never built to the approved plans. While the several options doesn't exist to the property owner to bring this property into compliance, the owner has chosen to seek a variance to bypass the requirement to make this a primary dwelling addition with the attached breezeway. It is note that this was under our old zoning ordinance as well, which we did have stricter standards back in 2023. Where we only was allowed a 50% square footage allowed, and the height could not exceed the height of the house. Both of the previous and current standards are designed to ensure accessory dwellings remain secondary to the primary residence to preserve the character of single family development. Large oversized structures often fail to blend in the neighborhood aesthetics and can inadequately encourage and improper land use that are not typically permitted with residential uses. Staff's review of the findings of facts for number one, it would not be injurious to the public safety, moral, and general welfare because it would be verified that it's built to local and state building codes. However, the use and the value of the adjacent property and the variance will be affected in a substantial manner. The oversize is inconsistent with the establishing family character of the adjacent properties. There are no similar structures in the area. There are no oversized structures within the immediate vicinity of this property. A variance of similar requests could also be sought by other owners, property owners using the same findings of facts presented by the petitioner. The strip application of the zoning ordinance will not result in a practical difficulty. The petitioner has failed to demonstrate any unique physical circumstances or conditions particular to the specific parcel that prevents them from adhering to the development standards for the accessory structure. The petitioner presented building plans and site plans that would achieve the set standard forth, and it shows that it is attainable. The petitioner's findings facts does list distance and elevations as problematic. However, it was the property owner's decision to locate that structure in that spot. The variance is not primary for economic benefit to the petitioner. While economic benefit is present for this variance, it could be secondary consequence and is not the primary motive for the variance. The variance sought is not the minimum deviation that is needed to be awarded the applicant. The applicant again has failed to present compelling reasoning that the entire amount of the variance request is essential to overcome the physical hardship. There's no data presented demonstrating that a smaller compliant or near compliant structure would not serve the same basic intended purposes. And then the variance request is due to hardship caused by the current property owner. The petitioner has had reasonable and feasible design options available to them before and during construction to satisfy the requirement of the ordinance. The non-conformity despite they had non-conforming designs despite clear alternative means the hardship is a choice of preference and not inherited by the land itself. That is all. Any questions?
Any questions for staff?
I have one. You said it was originally presented, and I see there were plans as an attachment or in addition to the original 1,300 square foot house.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it to be used for? Is an addition? What was it to be used for?
The what? The breezeway or the structure?
The 2,400 square feet that was an addition to the original 1,300 square foot.
It was a garage addition.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
For clarity, if they built the breezeway, they'd be compliant. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
Michelle, I have a question on one of the maps. Is it? On the page, it's got the drawings with the red stamp.
Yes.
It says released for construction.
Uh-huh.
Was it ever released for construction?
That's what I said. Those are the approved plans. Let me get to them. I finally
There's-
figured it.
But it's not dated that it was ever released.
They only screenshot the, I didn't, yeah, I don't know why this particular one doesn't have that signature, but it was released for construction. These were the approved
Okay,
site plans.
6/7/23 was approved.
well, that site plan was approved. I didn't realize. By not having a signature, I didn't know what that meant. They went ahead and built it without permission.
And it might have been a copy
Okay,
that we
okay.
didn't sign.
Not required that the building inspector sign it on the shelf, I don't sign.
Yeah. And you can see that there's a owner signature below it as well. That they got a copy of this approved plan.
Any more questions for staff?
I have one more.
Go ahead.
How long has this 64 by 40 building been finished?
For quite some time. Yeah, I would have to look at our building permit to see when the last time we had inspection. it would have been a rough inspection. We can get that information, but not right now.
Okay. The way we handle this, the petitioner has 15 minutes to present their case and answer questions along with anyone they have brought with them for support. Then any remonstrators have 20 minutes total between all of them to state their concerns. And then the petitioner has 5 minutes after that for rebuttal. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this petition must stand and take the oath of a witness.
Right now, it's your only opportunity. Okay, raise your right hands. Swear affirm on the family's perjury testimony about it gives the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, thank you.
All comments are restricted to the podium, and anyone who approaches the podium to speak has to state their name and address for the record. With that, I'll turn it over to you.
If you'd allow me to approach the board, I have some handouts for you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. For the record, my name is David Gilman. My address is 211 South Ritter Avenue, Suite H, Indianapolis 46219. I'm a land use consultant, principal of Land Development Services. I represent Vicky Pointer and her son Darren in this matter. As mentioned by the staff, we're requesting for the board to grant us a variance to allow an accessory structure that's larger than the primary structure. And if you would go to the first page of my handout, this slide is an aerial view of the existing storage building that is constructed at the rear of the property. The building was finished about 1.5 years ago. There's a smaller greenhouse workshop structure that's located to the left, and the primary residence is shown up front. The surrounding areas to the north and west are well screened with large mature trees. Next slide, please. This slide is an existing street view directly in front of the property. The area on the right side of the residence is where the existing septic field is located. Next slide. This topography map shows that the resident adjacent to us to the east is about 11 feet higher than where the garage is. The residence on the property is about 4 feet higher. So the property was situated where it's located today because it is the lowest part of the property. It's well screened with the existing vegetation, and it's the least intrusive for a larger building on this subject property. Next slide, please. In this slide, the surveyor's report has the location of the storage building, confirming that it does meet all the applicable setback standards, meaning our request tonight is the minimal that's allowed of only requesting one development standard variance. In fact, the setbacks far exceed the minimum side and rear yard setbacks for the SR district, which are only 10 feet. And as you can see, we have 30, 40, and 73 feet. We think that this will help minimize the visual impact of this larger structure to any adjacent residential view. With all this, the lot still maintains a 90% open space, which exceeds the UDO minimum of 65%. Next slide. What the owners have proposed is to add permanent evergreen trees around the structure to complement the existing wooded areas, which will screen the building's facade from any adjacent property as well as from the street view. Next slide, please. This is a rendering of the street view when the new evergreens are planted. So that storage structure at the rear of the property will barely be visible. Next slide. This is the only other visible street view from the driveway, and again, that will also be screened from the view. Our next slide. So this is the point of our contention for asking for this variance. As I mentioned earlier, east of the house is level, and that would be the appropriate place, or at least a logical place to add on to the existing house. But we had a septic system that was located back in 2023. So that option or that area was not available. So in between the time that the permit was issued and my client has been able to hook up to city sewer and water. So that area that wasn't available to us just wasn't a logical place to put this structure. So it was chosen to put it at the rear of the property. And the word of attaching it to the residence to my client seemed like that's what we need to do to make it compliant. So what was designed meets the standards and it is compliant. But if you look at it, to me, if I were a neighbor, I think it would be an eyesore. I don't think it would be practical for using that breezeway 80 feet long to get from the house to the detached garage. My recommendation to my client was to not build the breezeway, potentially seek a variance, add robust landscaping around the building, and then take that money and add on to the house to make it more compatible. And I think all of those things are viable options that we will pursue. But the reason we filed for the variance and the reason we need the variance is it's a violation now because that permit, as staff said, was ready to expire. So we had to file the variance. We really think landscaping it will look so much better than trying to connect it with this 42-inch wide breezeway. Building on to the house at the time when the permit was filed, as staff mentioned, was 50%. So that means our residential room addition would have been close to 6,000 square foot of residential structure at the time when the permit was issued. So that wasn't feasible. Now that it's been reduced to 100%, we think adding on to the house and the fact that the septic is gone is practical. But again, what we think the permit, the way it's approved and permitted is not what we would rather do. We would rather not build that and we would rather landscape it. Next slide, please. So this is the site plan that was approved. It's a little bit more clear. You could see the long, narrow breezeway running from the house to the barn or the storage building. Again, there's a 4-foot grade difference. If you were driving by, you'd think it would look really odd. If you were a neighbor, I think it would be more of an eyesore. And one of the things that we felt that we could do is do the permanent year-round arborvitaes or eastern white pines that grow rather quickly. If you go to the next slide, this green area represents the 65 notices that we mailed out. I've only had 4 calls on this petition from those neighbors, and they all 4 were supportive. I've had a call of anybody against it or having concerns. But we did send to all 65 people this entire PowerPoint, along with the cover letter explaining our position and why we wanted to do the landscaping as opposed to the room addition or the breezeway addition. And so we felt that we was completely transparent with the neighbors, and we wanted to be proactive and have them come to us if they had questions or suggestions. Some of them did on some of the plant materials that we may choose and their experiences with them. Next slide, please. So we feel that we haven't or the storage building where it's located will not be or cause any harm to the public, will not cause harm to property values. And we do think there is a practical difficulty in meeting the strict application of the ordinance where the building is already built at its location. The new detached building was constructed in accordance with the building code and has passed its inspections. The alternative breezeway to comply with the existing structure with the UDO, we think causes a practical difficulty for us, would be burdensome on the owner, but more importantly, would be unsightly to the neighboring properties. The owners do plan to add to the existing residence in the near future. Now that they have connected to city sewer and water, that option is more available to us. However, the variance will cure the violation that we're looking at today. Will keep our client from having to go to court. And we will make that variance subject to our landscape plan and the site plan we've presented to protect the integrity of the ordinance. The detached building is well screened from the public's view, and the site grade is well below nearby residences to mitigate its size. In addition to the exceeding rear yard and side yard setbacks that we have. And again, this is an accessory use. It's only for my client's personal storage. The use is still subordinate to serve the primary residence. And again, we will maintain 90% open space. It's our opinion that our submitted findings of fact meet the statutory requirements and uphold the intent of the ordinance regarding the size and use standards for accessory structures. The building's design, its placement, and year-round landscape planning will preserve the surrounding property values and uphold the intent of an accessory use. These conditions, we feel, demonstrate that strict application of the ordinance would impose a practical difficulty, and the proposed variance is both reasonable and consistent with the spirit and the intent of the zoning code. With that, we are available to answer questions that board members have or members of the audience would have of us. Thank you.
Anyone? I have a question. What has changed since it was agreed to put in the breezeway? I mean, apparently somebody in getting the permit thought, yes, this is something I can do. They signed off on it.
And that's part of one of my findings. At the time, Vicky Pointer, who is one of the owners, she and her son, this is her son's home, and she's doing some estate planning with him. At the time, when it was designed on paper, the breezeway may have seemed like a logical, compliant solution to the ordinance, but in reality, it would have just looked awful. And I'm not expecting her to be an architect or to understand what the aesthetics would look like to make that attachment. And I think when she clearly understood what it would look like to meet the requirements of the ordinance, this would not be an asset to that property. It would almost be a hindrance. So really, the other thing that's changed and to our favor is at the time, the structures could only be 50% of the accessory, and now they could be 100. So adding on to the primary residence is it is more reasonable now than it was then. And then the other one, the other thing that's changed is we've now made more land available to add on to the existing house that wasn't there before by eliminating the septic area and being able to tie into the Greenwood sewer and water.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I really don't understand. I understand your concept that it may look funny. But that's not the point. You designed a plan. You took it to zoning. You got it stamped in site plan approval. Okay? And then thought, well, maybe the breezeway looks funny. Well, then you should have come back with a different plan. Okay, not just decide to go and build 2,400 square foot and go, I know we signed this and we said we were going to do this, but we're not going to do it now. We'll put trees up instead. This is 2 years. You could have put trees up a year and a half ago when it was finished and tried this. But now, when I drive past there, which I do for every zoning, and I look besides the houses, which won't be there much longer on Morgantown Road, when I look across the street, and I look up the street to the east and the subdivision that goes to the north, they're all really nice homes. And this 2,400 square foot structure does not fit in with any of them. I don't believe, my personal opinion, it's our fault that somebody designed this and then decided afterwards, without coming back, that we're just not going to do it, and wouldn't even have come in here had it not been a situation where it got a real problem at the end of 2 years in the permits of.
And my only rebuttal is the solution of having the breezeway connection, even though it's compliant with the ordinance, as in my opinion, would not be the best solution. The best solution would be to add on to the house. And I think that's an option that we will pursue. But in the logistics of things, we have a violation that needs to be cured. And this has been out there since, I believe, 2023. And what we're trying to do is seek a variance, add the landscaping, but our intentions are to take that, instead of investing in the breezeway, add on to the house, because the ordinance has changed and we can add now 1,100 square feet and be compliant. That's our objective. But what we're trying to do is not end up in court and being forced to build the breezeway to stay out of court. We don't have the luxury of time, and unless there's something I'm not understanding, of submitting a room addition to the house and letting that go through the architect's design, the permit process again, and let this violation sort of ride until we can get that resolved. And because that's going to take us every bit of 6 months, I would guess, to get all that design permitted and ready to build. That's the logical solution, is build the house, add on to the house. Don't invest any money in the breezeway, add on to the house. That's the big change that's happened since the permit was issued. And that's what my client's been struggling with, of, I got this violation hanging over me and I need to get it resolved. And my attitude is, you can secure variance with landscaping and mitigate the visual impact that the storage building has from the street, from the neighbor's view. And you can now pursue getting your plans approved to add on to the house, which the house is really small. It's smaller than any house out there. So adding on to that house, and it's in a great location, is the logical solution. We even suggested, and we are open to it, even for a temporary variance, just so we have time to get those plans submitted to the staff, get it approved, get it built.
I personally would have come here 6 or 8 months ago.
When did you first receive notice from the planning department that you had a violation?
I'm going to let staff answer that.
It was this summer when the permit was due to be closed out.
So June
Yeah. June.
2025.
I apologize. I don't have my actual.
Well,
hard copy.
it was, if permits are good for 2 years and it was
Yeah.
accepted in June of 2025 or 23, so 2 years after that would be 25 when you
Yeah, I
reached
had to
out.
reach-
But I suppose the question then to David would be, in 6 months' time, how come staff hasn't seen these proposed additions as a solution to the project? If it was 6 months in order for, this to be a temporary variance, and then for her to submit plans and for us to approve it, and this is in Indianapolis, David, I know you practice up there a lot. Things move hopefully a lot faster down here. And I think we work with people a bit more down here as well. Notwithstanding all that, your client had 6 months from the date she received notice in order to submit plans to staff to say, hey, I'm going to comply with the new UDO. I'm going to add 1,200 square foot to my building, and therefore I'll be, won't have to build this breezeway. Why did that happen?
I can let Vicky speak for herself, but my my conversation, she was scared that it's violation and you're going to go to court and you're going to be sued for being in violation of your permit. So she came to me and I said, well, there are a couple different avenues. One of them is the variance. One of them is the temporary variance to allow you to get an architect. And it's not necessarily to get an architect, but it's also to secure funding, get a contractor, get the bids. So I could see where it would take 6 months, but those are plans that are there. But they just didn't happen fast enough.
Just for clarification, I didn't send any official violation letter. I let them know that you're not in compliance of your building permit. You need to address this. And as everybody should know, violations don't go to court automatically. There are just fines assessed and ramifications that you do before we get to the court situation.
I guess my question is there an addition that's gonna be built anyway? Or just maybe, or just to satisfy this?
So the options would be the variance, landscape, focus on a building house addition. 2, bid the breezeway, build it, and just be done. I guess 3, you could write it out, go to court, beg the judge, prosecutor, whoever, to give you some additional time. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not pursuing advising my
Well,
client. to
If,
that
if,
respect.
if the board decided to continue this cause for 3 months or 2 months, whatever the board decides, is that sufficient enough time for your client to submit plans from an architect for approval to the planning department? That would allow the structure to not have a breezeway, but to be compliant with the UDO as far as a percentage of the square footage?
I'm going to say, yes, that would give us time to come back and have a very concrete plan. I just kind of want to refer to the staff on, because we were looking for, even if you were to grant a variance for 1 year, whatever, but yeah, I think what we're looking for is we just need time to figure out what a building addition will look like and present it to the staff, get it, the plans approved, permitted. We just got to get an architect to design it, but sure. I mean, and I filed this November, I think. And then this is our first hearing, so it's not like, we couldn't request a continuance for more time. What I didn't want to do is come here and ask that you guys give us multiple continuances to get this resolved. And I agree, sir, that had I known earlier, I probably would have had a little bit more time to have a better solution to present.
And to me, that's viable, but in what I recall, most of the time when that happens and we allow that, come back 3 months later and it's the same thing written. The last one we did was 180 days later. Not a thing changed, not one thing. And then, then we are just kicking the can down the road. I mean,
I think personally, it would be a lot better to add on to the house, and then the house would match more like what's around it. It's not going to be as anywhere near the size of the homes around it. But nobody followed through on this plan. So why would I vote to say, okay, well, let's not do this, extend it for 60 or 90 days when she has known since June. It's been built for a year and a half. You've submitted by November. In November, man, before I came in here, if that's what she wanted to do, I'd have busted my butt to find somebody to draw something up, at least a preliminary drawing of this is what we're going to do. And there would have to be some kind of action that says, this doesn't get done, and it doesn't get done in this time frame, then you tear the building down. I don't know.
Yeah.
Speaking on my butt now.
Accept some of that responsibility, because I had advised her strongly, you do not want to build this breezeway. That's not the solution. If I would just, if I were a neighbor, I would go ballistic. If that is the way you comply with the ordinance to keep the building there. That I advised her not to do that. And so I'm gonna take some of that responsibility of why it's not done. So.
But the problem with that is it was approved, that was the way it was approved, and it had to be done to get the approval. So we just conveniently leave that out. Go ahead and build it, and then you're gonna come in and ask us for mercy for that.
However, there's another alternative, add on to the house. And I think that's the direction we want to be focused on and not the breezeway. But at the time, there was a violation pending.
Well,
This board is an administrative remedy to correct violations. I thought what we're presenting was reasonable, and I think it makes a lot of sense, and it does keep the spirit of the ordinance intact. But at the same time, I think the true long-term solution, I agree, would be add on to the house.
Our job is not to correct violations. That's up to the petitioner.
it just makes it so much easier on our part and the staff's part, but that's been part of the plan. You know, if at the time the building plan was submitted, that talk was involved about adding on in the future or in the near future, that would have been a whole lot easier to put a project together.
But in the beginning, that was a way bigger ask because that house would have been 6,000 square feet. Today, it's 100%, so it would only be 1,100 square foot addition. So we do have a lot more tools to work with than we did when the permit was filed and the garage was built.
Mr. Chairman, we
Yes.
even have the ability,
Pardon?
do we even have the ability to say, okay?
Well. Yeah, can we pause that question?
Yeah.
And wait, just because we've had this conversation here, but we still haven't called for remonstrators
Right.
and others, so in the interest of time, Mr.
How much
Chairman,
time does the petitioner have?
petitioner had 6 minutes when we started asking.
Did you have anybody else you brought with you who wants to testify?
I don't believe so. Well, I don't know if they're here to support or remonstrate, so I'm not sure. But for the vehicle. They're welcome to use the rest of my time if they do want to speak.
Move on to remonstrators. I suppose.
Okay. Okay, anyone who wishes to speak against this petition has 20 minutes.
Hi, my name is Brad Parsons. I live at 1578 Olive Branch Lane. So I got a few notes here. Let me fold them up real quick. So obviously I learned some stuff today, but it sounds like to me they never planned on building the breezeway in the first place. Second part is, if they say they're gonna put in trees, what size trees? So, white pines still only grow about a foot or two a year. If we put in saplings, we're looking at, the trees on the north side, which are mine and Matt's over there, are over 35 years old that block the view. Those don't happen overnight. So I'm not willing to wait 30 years for the trees to be big enough. So we got to set a certain size. If that's even a conversation. Secondly, they talked about water hookup. I'd like to see if we can pull from the records if that's possible when that water was hooked up, because there was a dirt hole in the ground for over 8 months that they waited till grading for the new building to go in to grade where the water hookup was. I don't know why else there would be a hole right there where the water hookup for that building was, because it definitely wasn't the old septic tank. So that means to me, the reason why they didn't do that addition, when they say if the additional garage space was because there was functioning septic system, well, it wasn't being used at that point anymore because it was already hooked up to water. That's my thoughts and my beliefs, because I've never seen that hole with the dirt to the side. Another thing is, we're talking about in good faith and building. You can see from the aerial pictures, there's concrete that used to not be there before they acquired the building, stacked up that Matt can see from his backyard. And he hasn't submitted or complained about it. But for me, talking about someone's good faith and maintaining and caring about the facilities and the neighborhoods around it and our home values, a pile as tall as me of concrete, 6, 8 feet in diameter, they don't care about my property value or the people around it. That's my concern. There's any notes? That's all I have. I'm gonna pass it over to Matt. I don't like the breezeway either. I don't know the answer here, but I don't think the building was in good faith built to meet the spec that was asked from the county in the first place. Go ahead.
Hi, Matt Winbury, 1556 Olive Branch Circle. On the property just to the north with the mature pine trees. I agree. I don't think the breezeway would look, it wouldn't fit in. Building doesn't fit in with the neighborhood, but my biggest issue is just follow through. Is there gonna be a time frame when they're actually gonna get things done in a reasonable amount of time? Because that's the septic system elimination took a long time to get rid of. It's just, and I get things cost money, but it's been an ongoing construction site for 3 years now. I mean, and like Brad mentioned, the spoils from other jobs basically have spilled into my property just to the north. It's nothing's been done about it. I just don't think they will do what they say they're gonna do either way. So I don't know what the solution is. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? The petitioner has another 5 minutes.
We, as I mentioned before, we submitted a full packet to all the neighbors, and 2 of those exhibits were the landscape planting schedule. It showed 6-foot minimum at planting of eastern white pines, primarily because they do grow a foot to 16 inches a year. So we thought that that would be the best solution to get the screening established as quickly as possible. You know, my client is here tonight. We're both under oath. We certainly understand that the breezeway is kind of common, that it's not the best approach. I just had a conference with my client. If we could get 90 days, we would be back with a set of plans, and hopefully we could maybe even submit those to get a plan review and possibly a permit. To show that it's our good faith to add on to the house and not jeopardize the size of the residences in the area, and that the structure would be more compliant and the house footprint would be more compliant. And I wasn't aware of the spoils under guys's property lines, but that's another thing. We could show good faith and get the concrete cleaned up, and any spoils that are behind the building, which would be to the north, that the gentleman said is close to his property line. I think it's our responsibility to get that cleaned up as well. So we're asking a couple of opportunities to show the good faith of coming back and having a set of plans that are, I think, more realistic and hopefully more acceptable. And then a good faith effort to take care of some of the negligence on the property of some of the materials that the neighbors have mentioned to us that they see it as unsightly.
Any questions for the petitioner? I have one. In your opinion, whose idea was the breezeway to make this compliant? Where did the idea for the breezeway come from?
The term connect the house to the structure, or connect, the house to the garage, was what my client told a CAD designer that needed to be done. And I think, I've been planning and doing zoning a long time. I've seen this done before, connect it with the breezeway, and that seems to be that solution that is out there. And as a land planner, it drives you nuts, but it does meet the ordinance. And I think that's something that somebody had done before, and they said this will work. They gave it to my client, and that's what she brought in. She's not an architect, she's not a zoning expert, she's not a code expert, but I think that's what was told to her that'll work, that'll be.
From where?
Had design, whoever did the work, the design on the barn, I don't know the person's name. But apparently they've had some experience with these situations in the past, because me being a planner, I know that's how people have crossed that bridge. And it's not necessarily a loophole. It makes sense if these weren't 80 feet away, they were 25 feet away. Yeah, that would be the ultimate solution, is to connect it. But 80 feet away is just ridiculous.
So whoever signed this to approve it didn't know it was gonna be 80 foot long? I mean, it's right on there.
Yeah,
I'm annoyed with this. I don't even know who to place the blame on right now. I think somebody just said, well, we'll just draw on here, whatever we gotta do to get our permit and move on. And to be quite honest, I agree, the breezeway is not the best solution. But I feel like when you sign on to something, you should follow through with it. Is there any other questions for petitioner? Thank you.
Michelle. This shows partly a concrete asphalt drive back to the house and a concrete drive to the first garage. When I was there, it kind of looked like gravel and dirt and a mess. Was there any kind of requirement that there be concrete to that building?
No. We don't have that requirement. I mean, we do now, but back in the day, we didn't have that requirement.
I just have a question, and it doesn't make anything to do with this. I thought the septic that they were taking out
Mhm.
was to the east of that house.
According to their information,
Okay, so on the site plan, there's septic written in over on the other side of that concrete driveway. What is that? Is that another septic system? Or another septic with that garage, or?
sorry. So on one of their pages, to the east, it says old septic area.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
this one here.
The approved site
Right where?
plan by the county shows a set.
Oh, they had wrote
Stop.
septic by that garage. I see what you're saying.
I'm not sure it's part of that, but I mean, I'm
Yeah.
trying to make sense of what we were told, and I just saw that.
I mean, my personal opinion, regardless if that septic was by that garage or on the east side, there
Yeah.
could have been a lot of other different options in
Yeah,
2023 of that, where that structure was placed or addition to the house. When people ask me about structures and I advise them that I cannot approve it as presented, I always tell them variance is not my go-to. Unless it is one that is a very minor one, but my go-to is consider something smaller, consider something addition to the house, which is I mean, this particular situation could have gone towards the back by excavating the ground. There's a lot of options that were presented. I did discuss with that person before they filed. Yes, unfortunately, people do construct the breezeway to circumvent our rules of additions, to consider addition. But when we talk about breezeway, and when we're talking, yeah, it is 80 foot, but that's where they chose to put their building. And I do want to note, It took me to initiate the conversation of, hey, you're never gonna, you didn't build this. You gotta do something about it. If I hadn't said anything, I don't think we would have ever addressed it.
What's this building built out of? What kind of structure is it? Is it a pole barn?
I think it's post frame.
Just
I'd like to say that uh, the findings of facts, which we're supposed to follow. Number 6, the variance request is not due to a hardship caused by the current owner of the property. This is 100% caused by the current owner of the property. From agreeing to this, to circumvent the rules. But the problem is, as I see it, is it doesn't necessarily serve the neighborhood to enforce this crazy idea. So I'm really stuck. I've been thinking about this one since I first got this packet in the email. And I don't feel like we have a solution here that serves the community and it serves the ordinances that we're supposed to be protecting, I should say. And it doesn't serve our job for following the findings of the facts.
I think the structure is too large for the area it's in, but it's there now. My suggestion is I agree as well. I think the breezeway that would be silly. But if they want to say, well, now we only have to add 11 or 1,300 square feet to the house, well, then I think you have to abide by all the new rules that are in place. So we've got some remonstrators that go, we don't like the crap in the backyard. In that neighborhood, there shouldn't be anything in the backyard. Okay, but grass that's mowed or shrubs or a garden. As far as not having an all concrete or blacktop driveway and having dirt and rock and this, that, and the other, that doesn't go today because the rules in the county have changed. So I would say it would have to be an all concrete driveway. And I would say there has to be an addition to the house. They don't want to do an addition to the house. If it's a pole barn, pick the damn thing up, flatten out the land, move it closer to the house. But that none of that fits in with anything across the street, behind it, or to the east of it. And that would all have to be cleaned up. I live in that area. I didn't drive back there. I did a street view. If I'd have driven back there, I'd probably be really upset.
And I don't disagree with you, but if you move that building, the only logical place to move that building and make it fit what the requirements are is closer to the house. But then it's going to be that much taller than the house. And then that's not.
So
It's built back there because there's a hole and got it down and so you can see it.
thing that upsets me is this. That she could have been, whoever could have been proactive at all of this. And just instead of not only waiting till they got caught, but then again, not doing anything else after they got caught into the very last minute, which was 7 months ago. So my suggestion would be if we could give them, I don't want to give them 6 months, 90 days, get off your butt, get an architect or some home remodeling company with some concrete plans. The whole damn thing has to be blacktopped or concreted all the way back to that building. All the garbage needs to be cleaned up. It needs to look like the rest of the yards in the neighborhood. The one next to it's all grass. In addition to the house and the pines, white pines, whatever, all the way around blocking that. Or take it down.
So the idea of a breezeway to connect is just a matter of putting square footages together.
It has to be a fully functioned breezeway. It just can't be a wall.
Right.
And that's what I tell, yeah.
But I mean, but that's the whole, so. You're still not making a connection. You're making a connection, but you're really not putting square footages together.
Does it have to be drywalled?
It has to be a fully enclosed.
Okay.
I mean, this isn't, even if you scoot over to next door, you can kind of see at one point. I don't know which came first, but you can see that there's addition. I mean, this is a larger breezeway, but you can see,
It's 328 square feet.
that they at one point made an addition to that house.
Michelle, have you ever encountered this before?
No.
Yes.
Yes?
We had a request for one. Well,
What?
Well,
on Earlywood Drive.
yeah, that,
Breezeway or this particular situation?
The breezeway.
The breezeway.
Oh, yeah, we've done breezeways. I mean, people have done breezeways additions to connect house additions. They're not 80 feet long, but they're probably, some of them are a small hallway, like a mudroom kind of addition.
I'm assuming there's no guidelines for this.
No. I just tell people, because the standard addition, because what people will do is, if it's, the breezeway also helps with different types of structures. If you have block foundation, post hole foundation, it helps the transition as well. So sometimes people can't do a block, they can't put the post frame construction right next to their block house. So that breezeway helps with that construction. But if I have that discussion with people, like they want a big barn, and sometimes it's really close to the house and I can't do it. I was like, do you a mudroom? Do you enclosed hallway from the house? And they ultimately do it. And that's what they designed. But again, we're talking 10 to 15 feet. I don't have people that come back to me with an addition to the house that's 80 feet away. So I have never had this particular situation because people don't design it or lay it out that way.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is there's nothing illegal about an 80-foot long breezeway
No. As long as it meets,
because it
as long as it meets building code and it is a fully functioning enclosed breezeway, it meets our rules. And that's what I explained to several individuals when they first contacted, when that barn was going up, of why is that large structure going up on that property? How is it allowed? I said, unfortunately, they submitted building plans that met our standards.
Questions, Chris?
yes.
What happens if we just reject it? What's their next step? I mean, if we don't give a temporary variance and we reject it because we have people here that's said things didn't get done, they didn't come in, we just reject it totally. What happens then?
So ultimately, if the variance is denied, then they have a few options at their disposal. They can either finish the permit as required. They can remove the structure or move it so it's a little bit closer than 80 feet. Or they can potentially get a building permit. That's my least favorite one, just, I'll explain why, but, we are under almost 2 feet of snow. I'm not going to force them to do it anytime soon. So, we probably, if we say our variance is
What was your third solution there?
another building permit.
Another building permit.
And the reason why I have even all this requires my faith in them to fulfill that requirement. Again, here we are 2 years later, where they have finished this over a year and a half ago. It was added a task to our staff to make sure we keep this permit in mind and make sure they fulfill it and all that. So now I have to make sure that if they get another building permit, that they actually fulfill that, and then it opens that, well, then they have 2 years to do that. What if they don't do it in 2 years? And here we are again.
I think that's a terrible idea.
I mean, it is in a way for them to get a building permit that shows that they're gonna do addition, but I would actually like footers in the ground within a reasonable time frame of that house addition, if that's what they're gonna try to do to rectify the violation. Within, I mean, people start breaking ground March and April.
So we can shorten,
Yeah, you can,
shorten the time for them to break ground. I'm just thinking
I
out
mean,
loud
yeah, I
here.
mean, if you guys, if the decisions deny it, obviously we have that violation, a continuing violation, we can, I guess, as a board, say they have until March to break ground on either the breezeway or another permit that would bring the property into compliance. I don't want another task where I have to sit there and check up on it every 6 months to see if we are gonna fulfill the requirement. That's more than it's supposed to be standard for a permit, sorry. But I have to keep this in the back of my mind of, are they gonna fulfill that requirement or not? And they ultimately didn't, I had to send them a letter and that stuff like that, so.
Well, lucky Mike lives right there, by there. He's right by
Yeah.
that property every day. They'll keep an eye on it.
Is it legal for me to ask the remonstrators a question?
No.
You two that remonstrated, could you come back? Either one of you first.
Oh.
I gotta do the.
Matt Winbury.
Yeah.
1556.
What would you like to see done? You live right next to the property.
Yeah, I mean, the house is, like I said, it's been under construction. You drive past it, the upstairs looks like you could still see studs where nothing's been drywalled. I get it. I'm a do it myself guy too. But yeah, I'd like the house to be probably more proportionate to the barn. I mean, it obviously sticks out.
Uh-huh.
Is the house not finished either?
It's, the last time I spoke to Vicky, after I sent her the letter, the house is gutted and not occupied.
You,
That changes things.
Brad Parsons, 1578.
what would satisfy you? I mean, you're the closest people we have to it.
I understand. I'm just blown away in the first place that the permit was approved as breezeway, but I guess it's legal. So that's something I guess I should talk to my local legislator about. But, 6-foot tree that grows 1 foot at a time is not enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's got to be a bigger tree. Because that's, again, how tall is this building? Is it 25, 30 feet? That tree's not blocking it. 16?
Let me ask a more pointed question. Would you rather have the breezeway or not?
I don't want the breezeway.
Okay.
Terrible. I think the house addition would be great. Be great. Update the house. That'd be wonderful.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yes.
I needed to walk through there. I got started rambling. I apologize.
How long's the house been torn
Thank
apart?
you, both of you. Unless anybody else had a question for them.
I just wondered how long the house is. That adds a whole new wrinkle to it because you never built the breezeway to something that is a vacant piece of property. So you built an addition to a house that's not a livable structure.
I mean, it used to be a rental. Then those people moved out, then her son moved in, and I think. I can answer your question.
It's up to the chairman.
Darren, her son, lives in that residence. He has the basement finished. He's working, do it yourself on the upstairs, I believe, is my understanding. Is that correct?
For how long?
How long's Darren been there? Since the garage has been up.
I have no faith in any of this
Thank you.
getting done. Ever.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Hoffman.
I just said that to me adds a whole nother wrinkle. You're gonna do they built a barn with a house that's unfinished. It's been gutted for 3 years And now we're expecting somebody to come through and add an addition to it.
If I may, and
You
probably adding a little bit more than I need to.
No, well, I like it.
Chairman, but
please.
I'm maybe reading a little bit of the tea leaves as to how this property came to be, purchased, number one, by the petitioner here, and then occupied by her son. And I'm again reading the tea leaves a little bit and maybe stepping out a bit. Perhaps the son didn't do what he told mom that he was going to do. And then here we are. And again, I'm reading the tea leaves, maybe.
Mhm.
But that's my guess.
And there's not gonna be the ability
Okay,
finance.
Right. Financing comes into it as well. And
I do not want, I don't know how to put all this into a motion. I do not want to force them to build the breezeway. However, I don't want to approve this variance at all.
Agreed.
Does that make any sense?
The part to me that's hard to do is if we're saying that a contingent to approve this building is for them to add on to the house, then we've told them they have to add on to a house. They have no business
Well, they
telling them,
proposed,
you know what I'm saying? That's what it kind of appears.
they have
like.
proposed that. Though.
Yeah,
it is, but Charlie, we do that on occasion.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
staff will say, look, you've got a notice of zoning violation. We'll send it out. Here are your options. You can
Yeah.
try and file for a variance, or you can try to comply with the
Yeah.
ordinance. And if their choice is to try to comply with the ordinance with either building a breezeway, which I don't think anybody wants, or adding on, those are their options.
So do we provide a continuance to give them time to come up with another solution? Or do we say, I move that another solution is? Do we have to vote down the variance?
No, you don't want, I don't think we want to vote down the variance
Okay.
because then, technically they would have 180 days, have to wait 180 days to reapply for it in the event something doesn't work out.
But they can, I mean, the board
right.
can waive that requirement as well. If
Could
they,
we ask one more question?
Absolutely.
Could we ask the petitioner, is there going to be funds available to do this work? Because otherwise we're staying in a snowstorm at a 40-mile-an-hour wind.
That was probably one of the first questions out of my mouth when I had conversations with Vicky. Yes. Vicky is wanting to retire. She's wanting to set her son up with a home. That's his home. The funds are available. She wants to make sure that it's done right. And that it's not do it yourself done, that it's professionally done. Those are our plans. Vicky did not have somebody like myself helping her through this entire process. She does now. I'm committed to the project. I'm committed to my client. We will follow through with these conditions or a continuance, whatever the board desires, on making sure things get done the right way. And I will make sure my client doesn't commit to things that they can't afford or can't do. And those are the things that I think those are very reasonable questions. And I asked Vicky those very same questions. There's no reason for us to tell you all the things we're going to do and funds aren't there. Now, I believe if we add on to the house, the variance is kind of moot. Is that if we add on to the right square footage, if I understand the ordinance. So
Does a 16-foot tall building fit the ordinance?
that changed as well. I can refer to staff on that, but that
I was
16
referring to staff.
So this structure, the accessory structure is actually 24 to peak, 24, 25.
16 foot was what I saw from the sidewalls. I didn't know what the
Yeah.
was.
What the peak is, I think me and him even tried to calculate it where we're between 24 and 25.
So because we used to, the previous old zoning ordinance, mean the structure can't be taller than the house. Or 25 feet, whichever is less. So obviously this house is less than 25 feet, so it would have had to be a lot shorter for it to be permitted as an accessory structure. Nowadays, we just have a straight 25.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? I am ready to make a motion.
What's in it? The building,
There are,
and is it a concrete floor? Those are the only two questions.
yeah, it's actually, we have photographs of the inside. It's beautiful. And it's all finished inside. There's LED lighting. There's a epoxy floor. There are 3 sort of collectible cars that are undercover. And there's about 500 boxes of collectible board games that are all boxed, labeled, and on shelves. And it's kind of the reason for the size of it is there are some pretty cool things that are there. And Vicky has her canned good section in there and things like that. But again, it's all personal. But it's the barn is actually very attractive compared to the residence. The residence needs to be re-sided or painted and added on to match the barn. It'd be a beautiful piece of property at that point. I think it would be an improvement if we go that direction, and that's what we're hoping to do.
I move to grant the petitioner 90 days to present a plan to comply on this property with, I'd like a timeline of what their plans are at that point.
Could we add one thing to it?
Yes.
Within 90 days to clean up whatever spoils are outside on the property to take care of these gentlemen?
For clarification, the motion is to continue the petition for a period of 90 days with the understanding that the petitioner will submit building plans to staff for review, and in the interim, clean up the property to a better state than what it is, including removing the spoils to the property that's situated on the north.
Oh, I will agree with that amended statement.
My amendment is 91 days because that is technically the April 28th BZA meeting.
Sorry, Michelle.
Sorry.
90.
I'm out if it's 91. Anyway,
So we would have had to heard that in March for it to technically.
Did you get that motion?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
do I have a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to grant the petitioner 90 days to present a plan to comply on this residence with a timeline, and during that time there to clean up the property with the respect to the debris flowing onto the other petitioners. And it's been seconded. So I will vote yes. Mr. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman,
Yes.
Mr. Kaler,
Yes.
and Mr. Canary.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Don't let us down.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda. There's no old business. The new business is the approval of the 2026 contract for the Johnson County Board of Zoning Appeals attorney with Williams, Barrett, and Wilkowski.
Did you print that?
The time.
Is that up there? Same contract, different here.
Same contract? Well, I think we've got good representation.
I do too.
I agree.
So I move to approve. Mr. Gray seconded. We have to have a roll call vote. I mean, I can, doesn't really matter.
All in favor, say aye.
Pardon?
All in favor.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The contract is approved with Williams, Barrett, and Wilkowski. There are no reports and recommendations. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.